All righty, Rue. Good morning, everyone. I'm back from retreat. I am going to crush girl on Sue Spargo today, but um, I want to get a few more people loaded on than what I'm seeing here. Yeah. Sue, thank you for the kitty, the little kitty mobile thing, or ding, 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 whatever those things are, the hangy thing. How did you know I like cats? I don't know. I just don't know how you know that. So, anyways, we had a wonderful time at our retreat. But before we get started, I want to show you this sweet, sweet thing that I found on Facebook. And what is going on here? Don't let my cat near this. The baby is falling out of the nest. The mommy is going to rescue it, and the daddy's pushing it up. I just think this just absolutely a precious, precious picture, reminding us how we all need to work together. And before we get into this, I want to show something else here. Both Wisconsin just had a big, big quilt show, right? And both Paul and Chris sent me these images, and there were three Color My Worlds in there. And it makes me so happy. And in fact, Teresa was working on this at our retreat too. And Sue, thank you for you passing your kit on. Sue, we do like some exchanges and stuff like that. And hey, Barb, and Sue put together she never opened her Color My World. And so she put all the instructions in it. She passed it over, and then we had like three things that you could put your name in the pot if you wanted to win. And Sue did that. That was very, very generous. And it's also recognizing what we're going to do and what we're not going to do. So Julie won it, and she was very, very happy. Okay, so yay to Wisconsin. Yay. All right. And then this is just off topic, off the wall, etc. Charlotte Ann Gotti has been putting things on her Facebook, and she's simply been labeling it color. And the first ones that I caught my eye were a lot of monochromatics, like all white with a pop of blue and a pop of this, and then they got more and more and more intense, I guess you could say. And this picture blows my mind. And it's one of those things that, this is weird because it looks like my Sue Spargo kit. There we go. This was I think Deb Silva, who remembers our 23rd retreat. It started from a message board on my own original site. And I went out to, hey, look, all put together and everything, but my brain is like a train wreck a lot of the times. Yeah. And then they said magic words. We'll put it together. We'll do it. You basically just have to show up. And so they did. And for the first 10 years, Paula Reed and I taught together and realized I needed to start bringing in new people because I'm one of the ones like, okay, guys, I got to go to bed. It's almost 6:00. Let's put it this way. The night after the retreat was over, I slept another solid 12. All right, I need my sleep. The last night Sue was teaching, I heard until 9. I was already sound asleep by then. But if you're not familiar with her work, let's just take a look at some of her quilts. I pulled them off the website. Now, this is, I think, last year's block of the month. And one of the things that Sue does is when she does a BOM like this, when it's all over, she often publishes the book with everything in it. But while it's going on, you are pinky swear secrecy. So, for instance, Deanna was working on this year's, and I took a bunch of pictures, and I called up Deanna. I said, wait a minute, I can't show these. And she said, no, you can't. So this was last year's. I like to get her books for inspiration and all that good stuff. Okay, so here's another one. This is a smaller project, and this is probably an older one. They're getting more and more and more embellished. I don't even want to use the word complicated, embellished, and it's wonderful to see. Okay, here's this one. That's a close-up of the other. So see, if I were looking at this, I am looking at this, I now know how to do that stitch around the outside edge of that pink bird. And I'm going to, at the very end, I'm going to tell you what I learned, but what I really learned. Now, this was the last AAQ retreat, Alex Anderson Quilts, as we know it. Debbie Stevens is taking it over, and I get to come as a participant now. And so this time, I was a participant, even though I wasn't supposed to be, because I was not going to miss this chance with Sue Spargo. All right. Oh, and Sue, I did not include yours because I wasn't sure if that was a project that had not yet been released. So I thought, I don't want to get in trouble with Sue. Okay, and it was wonderful. So here's another one. I know there's a book on this. And when you get the book, you have to have an ancillary book like this one of hers. Oh, I don't want to lose my page. Like this, in order to learn the stitches, because there are so, why is that on there? There are so many dang stitches that then you need to go to this book and it will tell you how to do it. So once you go down this tunnel, there's no coming back. There's zero coming back. All right, so where were we there? I think we were on this one. Yeah. All right. I think this one is available as a pattern. Hey, Cindy. I love these quilts. And you know what some people were doing was they were taking pictures on their iPad. I'm going to transfer my pictures over to my iPad because then I can really blow it up and see the stitches. This one really intrigues me, and it must be out. I got it off her site, so it's out. Birds of a Feather. Love it. Love it. She is always stitching, always stitching. And then, interestingly enough, two people brought this quilt that they were working on. Kathy and I can't remember the other person. Shoot, but this is not a big quilt, and I think it's sold out too. So it obviously was wildly popular. Okay, so here's the deal with retreat. The learning part of the retreat is Friday and Saturday. And the retreat used to go from Thursday afternoon to Sunday. Well, then everybody's saying, no, we need more time together. What has happened at this retreat is there is a bonding of spirit that is amazing. I think it was you, Cindy, that wrote, and it was like you came to the first retreat, you didn't know anybody, not even your roommate. And now some of the bestie friends in the world are people that you've met at retreat. And I adore these people. Jim used to come, no more, so now I can say I adore these women. But there was a while there where I adored these men and women. Okay, so what do you do in a 2-day class with Sue Spargo? Brilliant. We did a needle roll. Well, that's what we were supposed to do. And basically on day one, she would show circle things, the flowers, okay? I believe we started with a French knot, and which I'm very, very comfortable with. And then the next morning, she did stems, and I think I have a sample of hers there. Okay, I want to say this. I said applique makes the project not overwhelming. Exactly. She sat there, she'd walk the room here and there, but she sat there and would do stitch after stitch. And then Debbie's husband, they had to get a new TV. He came and set it up so that we could see it on the TV. And even though I was around the table, I was watching it on the TV. Now, being a little dyslexic, and a left-hander, I would look at what she's doing and then I would run to my books. I had several books there. One is the left-handed embroidery book. And then I'd look at it and then I'd figure out, I'd like, why isn't this working? And then I'd go to another book, etc. And I discovered something. I believe, and Sue made a little itty bitty, I think she said it, it was said so quickly. Because I'm a left-hander, there are many things I've had to adapt to. And and I'm not sure that some of the things that I'm doing aren't from a right-hander's perspective, because I'm not going to say what book, it doesn't matter. I looked at it and I'm like going, this is backwards. This is not right. And then I started looking at her book, which is right-handed, Sue's, and I'm like going, okay, I can do that. So it's kind of a weird thing that I'm having to work through on how to do this. Okay, so for those that decided to follow the instructions, this is Kathy's. And what you'll note on this sampler, let's go back to this, is that there's no applique. It is all stitches. And somebody said, you know, really, the sky's the limit. The absolute sky's the limit. Only your imagination can limit you. So Noreen from Hawaii was working on this. You can see some of the stems she did there. She followed the instructions. She was a teacher's pet, okay? There you've got the different leaves, you've got different centers, stems, etc., etc. And then Jody, her buddy from Hawaii, this is hers. And I love those little goofy things that she put in. I forget what she said they were, but she said, it's just too empty. I love these goofy faces. I mean, people were working. Now, the quilts were not there. The quilts were not there. She had a pile of examples, of which I'll show you some, because, oh, wait, she just closed an exhibit in Lincoln, Nebraska. And I believe Victoria Findlay Wolf was the other exhibit. When you have a show that is at the Lincoln International Quilt Museum, you have arrived. Just saying. Okay, so here are some of the samples that she brought. And I grabbed my camera and snap, 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 snap. I will tell you the purple one, part of my overlays are covering it up. The ones with the little bumpies coming out, I learned that stitch, all right? Okay, very excited. Well, I'm gonna go through the stitches that I learned. And they aren't, I said to Sue, I mean, her work is frickin' impeccable. And I said, you know, Sue, you need to be careful because I'm going to start teaching your class. I'm going to take over and do it. She laughed. Okay, here's a bunch of stems, a bunch of flowers, etc. And again, I'm going to transfer these onto my iPad so I can blow them up. You guys could probably do the same thing. If you can ever take a class from her, ever. Okay, there you've got leaves, you've got roundies, you've got stemmed, and okay, to the right-hand side, there are those two leaves on the inside of that first strip going up and down. And I thought, what did she do? What is that? And then I realized that's the fabric doing the work. I thought it was some crazy little stitch. The other thing is that the different things that she uses, the different textiles, etc., over the top, over the top. My heart was singing, absolutely singing. I don't know if I have a repeat performance right here. No. I love those at the top, upper right. I love that. I don't. What happened is before Labor Day, Labor Day to Thursday, and some people did their own project all the way through, but people work on their own projects. Okay, so they bring them, and here we have Cindy's, I'm assuming this is yours, Cindy. If I'm wrong, please correct me. I was so my nose, and she, oh wait, let me back up. She's the one that said she had no friends, and now we are like blood. We are like blood sisters there, okay? Um, she had some stuff on her Facebook, and I said, Cindy Brown, would you mind if I took it off that? And she said, no, because guys, I'm not kidding. All you could see was the top of my head and that I need to get my hair dyed. I mean, I was so into this. It was crazy. Okay, this is Teresa's Color My World. Teresa has been to so many of my classes. She's from Portland. I First, I gotta say, everything on Meryl's desk was stacked exactly right on how they had to sew together. And somebody who shall remain nameless went by, boom, one of the stacks flew. She's like, oh my God. And she ran off. And I think we got it back together. And we told her at dinner, and Robin goes, I would have told you the truth. Okay. And then Julie. This is Julie's, who won the Color My World. You can see Julie's afraid of color. And then this is Kathy. Okay, Kathy, very, 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 very dear friend of Freddie's, and would go and stay there before retreat, etc. And she came with these strips that I believe she cut at Freddie's way back in the day, and she made these pineapples forever and ever. But she also worked on her little needle roll too. Okay, and then this, okay, Susan Cleveland was our teacher last year, and she wanted to come and take Sue's class. Susan Cleveland's husband is in really bad shape. And if you believe in prayer or sending good juju, please send it over there. She needs all of it. They've been to the Mayo. I think he's been in the hospital, 80 days. I mean, it's horrible. Okay. So she just said she couldn't come. And I'm not saying this to be gossipy. I'm saying is if you know Susan, hold her up in your heart today, please. So both Joan and Deanna brought what they made in Susan's class last year so that they could show Susan. This was a 2-day workshop of Susan Cleveland, and I believe she has a book on this too. Not 100%. By the way, Joan, I was texting Susan Cleveland from the retreat, and I sent this picture, and she goes, is that water skier Joan? And I said, yes. Joan, I think what'd you tell me? You're 80 and you're still water skiing. Awesome. And then Deanna brought hers, and she did something. I was just going to show one, but I want to say this. Deanna saw somewhere that you sew money into your quilt somewhere. So down the road, someone goes, oh, that's what it looks like. So in one of those little orange or pink things is a $20 bill. I love it. I love it. Okay, another thing we do is we do a pincushion exchange, all right? And this started because back in the day, I made pincushions for everybody, and I decided I was going to cancel the retreat because I wasn't going to do it anymore, and then they came up with this. So how it was done in the past is you draw somebody's name, and then you make them a pincushion. And so here are some of the pincushions, and a lot of them are directly related to the person. And I'll show you Deb Silva's, which is a kick. Okay. Look at that cat. It's cross-stitched. Sheesh. Okay, so Deb Silva got Suzanne's name. And on the back of Suzanne's, let me show you this thing. On the back of Suzanne, and at first, Suzanne thought it was because she kept stealing all the breadsticks. Not stealing, but whatever. Now, fluke of fluke, I drew Robin's name. And Robin is the one I always talk about who got me through hell and back with my surgery, with my parents, and all that. So remember when I was demoing the gnome little wall hanging that we did, and I said, well, I'm not going to do it again. Well, let me tell you, there's ulterior motives here. I thought, I'm going to make my pincushion. But here's the thing you need to know about Robin. She hates gnomes. She doesn't just not like gnomes. It's much more passionate than that. So this is the backside of her pincushion. And she had it on a book stand at her desk, and every time she'd turn around, I'd put the gnome thing back up. So, all right. So let me show you what I worked. No, let me show you what I worked on, and then I'm going to do some close-ups on it and show you what I really, truly learned. Okay, I think I have some things. So I did not follow the instructions. I decided I wanted to kind of do my own thing. If I had a do-over, I might follow the instructions, but I just wanted some shapes. And at first I was going to do pictures, and because this came in the kit, this size wool, because it was like the size that you just saw, a picture wouldn't work because it they're too tall and skinny. So then I thought, okay, I'll do mugs, and I must have been channeling something from Sue because I think she has a teacup one. So the first thing I did, that background is the background that was in the kit, and you can see the orange peeking out. All right, that's the other side. The wools are from own my own stash. And I don't know why things are freezing. I know when you go back and watch, it will be fine. I do not know. It's not happening on my end. And then what she has you do, and see, if she had us do this in the 2-day class, we wouldn't get anywhere. So this is what I did Monday to Thursday, was I designed my cups, and then I cut them out, and then I stitched them down with a whip stitch. She does not fuse because of all the layers of stuff. And then the other thing that I do, I don't know if I learned this, I'm sure I learned this from her, is oh, here, well, let's do this. Let's do this because I want to show you what I learned. All right. Once I whip stitch it down, then I go with a chain stitch all the way around. And when it's just the wool with a whip stitch, it looks pretty ratty, but this helps clean it up. Okay, so I've done this stitch before. It's a woven stitch, okay? And what I learned is the difference between, I marked these things, a woven circle, like my bookmark, a woven circle, and a whipped, no, that's a woven, okay? And a whipped is that when you're doing a woven circle, you need to have odd spokes, okay? Because you're literally weaving it, all right? There it is down there, all right? I like the ones where you whip around each time. You whip around, and it gives you this result right here. Those are the ones I like. And that you can have any size spokes. And she has this really cool little tool that can help you divide it up real easy. All right, so this next one is something I've done before. I love this. And basically you just do a grid all the way across, and then you do like a little needle point all in the same direction going down. I don't know what I'm going to do out here, but that's what I'm going to work on today. Oh, okay, and then back to this. This is the oyster stitch. And this is when I realized, excuse me, let me take a drink. I really had to pay attention to the instructions in the books, and I'll show you what I mean in a bit. All right, then this is the I forget what this one is. I forget. But I was having a really, wait a minute. It was, the cast on stitch, okay? I was having a really hard time with it. And that's when I would look at her thing, and then I would go back to my desk and I'd whip out my book. And in this case, it was this book. And I was looking at it going, but this doesn't work. This doesn't work, because if I'm holding it, this is what was screwing me up right here, okay? And then I went up and she said, do you knit? And I said, no, it's against my religion. And she goes, oh, she says, kind of like the cast on stitch. Okay, then I could figure it out. And that's when I realized I might be working both left and right handed. She did a couple leaves, more than this. Here's the thing, is your brain starts exploding, okay? So this is a real fun one with a vein, and then this is an overlap, all right? And then this is, where is it? The trellis right here. And I could never get mine to look right, and I'm not even sure that this looks right. But then this is the drizzle, and that's what I'm going to talk about in a moment to show you what I learned. And then this is like just an open weave. And on this one, I was getting before I tried to make it with the circles quilt that I'm working on, it looked horrible. And it was on this one when I realized I need to slow down, be more methodical with my stitches. This is not a horse race, okay? So let's talk about the drizzle stitch. The other thing that we learned was the importance of needles. I kind of steered you wrong. If you're doing wrap on handles, wrapped, you are definitely going to want okay, now I'm going to say the wrong thing. I want to make sure I get it right. Needles. You are definitely going to want to use the correct needle, and that would be the milliner's needle. These are for wrapped threads, and the deal with the milliners is that this part up here, the eye, is not fatter than the needle, so that when you pull it through, like in a French knot, etc., you don't get hung up here. If you're getting hung up here when you're doing a wrap stitch, you've got the wrong needle. So that was important to me. Now I want to find the drizzle stitch. Let me look it up in the front, and I'll show you. This is the one that's all furry. She had drizzle stitches with beads on it and all that good stuff too. Okay, let me see. Drizzle. Okay, 100. What I learned, is to really, really, really look at the instructions. And so is this the first one? Okay, that's the cast on. I've got to learn this one too. When I looked at this the first time, or before Sue Spargo's class, what I see is I see a thread coming up and then a needle going down. I did not connect that the needle is unthreaded. I did not connect. So I would try to make it over and over and over with this still threaded, and it will not work. So while this is like duh for probably a lot of you, it was like, okay, you are not paying attention. You're being silly in your approach by not reading. Unthread the needle. I don't read. And then it's like a cast on stitch, like when you're knitting. And then when you get it all the way you want it, all the way as deep as you want it, then you thread the needle. So here's ones with little beads on it. So I would say, well, that might be kind of like a really dumb thing. I was not reading the instructions. I was just trying to plow through. And when you start reading the instructions, like how to put the bike together and you've got 3 screws left over, they're not that hard. They're not that hard. Patience, take your time, read the instructions, look at the illustration. If you have a book where you're going, this does not look right to me, get the other book. I don't want to say you can't have too many of these books, because I suppose you can, but I probably have 4 that I go to for reference. Okay, What's the little book showing the stitches in? It's her book. I think this is, I'm not sure if this is the older one or the newer one, but I have them both. And it's her, Sue Spargo. And for me, as important as looking at the stitches, it's looking at the examples that are in here. All right. Here's another one. And that's why I love so much what's on my phone, because I can go and put it on my iPad and blow it up. All right. Strange name for stitches. Oh, they get better. Okay, so Susan, this is interesting. She stands up in front of a mirror and does the stitches. When I took crochet in college, she was right-handed and I would sit across from her. So I even tried turning the book upside down. I did. So that is it. All right, all right. The heart handle Lester B, is actually how I got these mugs. Is I went on to my computer to Google and I put cartoon mug drawings, and that's how I got the different that's how I got the shapes. Oh, thank you, Ann McSee, and I'm sorry. Okay. All right. I think we're good. We're back in the saddle on Monday. I think, don't hold me to it, I want to go through different ways I make circles. I want to go through that. I think that might be fun. And Kristen is working on the dandelion pattern. And I got to tell you something. I showed it to Sue and I said, Sue, what's wrong with this? It's not right. And she said, you need more stitching. Okay. Yeah, and you know what, Allison, right now, let's see, she left my retreat on Sunday morning. She's in Australia now, or she's on a plane going there. This woman, there's no grass growing under her feet. Okay, the older one has a green cover, BN is saying. Okay, I don't know where my older one is, but I have them both, and I just like all the examples in it too. So, thank you for watching, and I will see you on Monday. And just be good. And thank you for choosing to spend your time with me. I really